Alright guys, this is Perry here, and what I'm going to show you is my method that I like to use for doing freehand hood piercings from the inside out, or from bottom to top. And what I've got here for you is a 12 gauge blade needle, a 12 gauge half-inch curved barbell, and a 14 gauge threaded taper. Now, considering 14 gauge and 12 gauge threading is the same for most good jewelry companies, what we can do is just go ahead and thread this 14 gauge taper right onto our 12 gauge curved barbell here. And what I've done is given this threaded taper just the slightest curve to it, so that what I can do is when I insert this into the back of a 12 gauge needle, what we can do is we can pretty effectively, if you can see here, you can pretty effectively blunt that needle just by exposing the tip of the taper through the end of the blade needle. You don't want to go too far. We want to make sure that we're pretty accurate on our marks. But what I can do now is if I take this, we can gently insert this underneath the hood with less of a risk of poking the client and having them, experience something sharp beforehand. And once we've lined up with this, you can check your marks, make sure that you're underneath it. Then what you can do is back off the taper a little bit to re-expose the end of the needle, brace the tissue, pierce upward, and once you've got a hold of that, now you can see what I can do is bring this taper back up so that two things happen. One, the 12 gauge jewelry has a nice coupling to the 12 gauge needle, and the end of that needle is pretty effectively blunted again so that you lower your chances of a needle stick afterwards quite greatly. And then once we have that done, you can bring the jewelry all the way up, remove the needle, unthread your taper, grab your bead, stumble for a second like I do, and you've successfully done a piercing with minimal risk to the client and to yourself. Hope it helps.